Roll call, Sparky Stuckenschneider, Tessie Stevens,
Here.
Bob Kleppel,
Here.
Gavin Woolley,
Here.
Betty Werner, Dave Waymeyer, Dan Cassett,
Here.
Debbie Todebush, Jeff Patke, Kevin Creedy,
Here.
Greg Scornia, Darren Lamb.
We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the approval of the minutes of our meeting April 3rd. If there's no corrections, can I have a motion to approve in a second?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Danny and a second by Gavin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Parks report.
Parks report. Lots going on, but I'll hit some highlights. Last week on, I think it was Monday, McDonald's, I guess the week before, McDonald's of Washington had contacted me, and they had a tree that they wanted to donate to the park system, a cherry tree. And so they were looking for, asked where the best place to plant the tree was, or where we wanted to do the picture and things like that. So we did plant the tree there at Krog Park also. So we had a bigger tree die there recently, and we planted it near the swing sets over there. So, and then as far as the next item on my list is, I just want to give you guys an update on where we are in the hiring process. So we have 2 positions open. One is a ball field prep position, and the other one is a Parks Labor 1 position. The ball field prep position we need now, and then the other Park Labor 1 position will be filling the spot for a employee that's retiring in June. So we have two positions open, and we've had a couple candidates, but we're down to 1 candidate right now for 2 positions. So the pickings, have been kind of slim. We had 2 different guys. One guy we were ready to bring in for a second interview, and he wouldn't call me back, and still hasn't called me back. And the other guy, I guess, is interviewing at a couple different places and had some other things lined up, and so he declined the second interview for right now. So with that said, we'll be hopefully interviewing the other gentleman next week or possibly Friday for a second interview, and we'll go from there. We'll have to train them how to do ball fields and things like that. So, but that's where we are there. Another item that I haven't mentioned that has kind of been going on for a little while, we've been working behind the scenes. This coming pool season, we're planning on opening the concession stand again. From my understanding, over the last 2 years, I think it was, we've had vending machines in down there. And we had a resident come to me on one of my first days here and just tell me a lot of stuff about the pool. And one of the items about the pool is that we didn't have a concession stand and we had the vending machines. And she had some suggestions, and we put some feelers out between myself and Darren Lamb, and there's a lady by the name of Kathy Jinkerson from the CAPS group, the Washington CAPS group. She has a group of students that are going to run the concession stand this summer.
Wow.
And so she's been working on getting everything lined out, ordering food. They'll be using the equipment that we have there, but they'll be ordering the food and everything like that. So we won't really have a part in it other than just kind of keeping our equipment running that we own. But other than that, they'll be ordering food, taking the money, staffing the concession stand and everything like that. So we'll see how it goes. If it goes well, maybe that can develop into something, with the new pool or whatever. But I think at this point, anyways, it's better than having vending machines.
Yeah, it is.
So
And therefore, will they keep all monies?
they will, yes.
That's
Yes,
good.
I will.
Very good.
Let's see. And today I was contacted over email. I believe it's John Berger, whose family donated Burger Park, contacted me today about, he's going to be in town this weekend for the Washington High, I think it's High, reunion. And he wanted to know how he could help out with Burger Park. So I'm going to meet with him on Monday while he's in town and see what kind of ideas he has. He wanted to know what was going on there, what ideas, what we're doing there, and I'll fill him in about disc golf and everything like that. And he wanted to know how he could help out. So
Oh, that's
we'll
nice.
see how that develops.
Very nice.
And then the only other thing I have is we've had some issues. If you guys see anything over at Phoenix, I've been over, I think the last 2 times I've been over there, and it's always as I'm leaving. And the one time I was in my personal vehicle, I've seen an ATV and a UTV both go flying through the park, like through the parking lot, then under the pavilion, and then out on the trail, and then gone. And both times I turned around, but by the time I turned around, they were long gone. So I know we're working. I talked to a resident over there in one of the condos, and he had called about some other things, and I just asked him out of the blue. I was like, you ever seen one on ATVs or anything over there on the trails? And he told me no. He hasn't seen anything. But we're working on some signage, and we realized that the bollard or ballard over there by the condos was broken and it was laying flat on the ground. So I think that's how they're able to fly through there pretty quick, because they don't have to go around. They could probably still get around it even on an ATV, but at least it would slow them down a little bit. So if you guys see anything, let me know.
Are they coming from Rabbit Trail over?
Both times I was leaving, I was like getting on the street, just turning from like the tennis courts onto the street.
Yeah.
And that's where I met them both times. So I don't know where they're coming from.
Stonecrest.
I think the UTV may have came from that new subdivision there, but I'm not positive. So,
Is that street poured and connected now?
yes, it is. So
Okay.
that's all I have, unless you guys have any
All
questions.
right. And we have no communications from the audience. So we will move to old business. We'll start with Arbor Day.
So we had a great event up at Miller Post, despite the rain and the wind. I'd say between the vendors and the volunteers and staff and everything, we had about 50 people up there. And we had demonstrations from the portable sawmill. We had a demonstration on injecting ash trees for the emerald ash borer. The MDC, Missouri Department of Conservation, was there giving out free trees. We had some hot dogs available for kids and volunteers that were there. Big kids and little kids. And then we had 3 different school groups plant 4 different trees up there. And then Jackie Miller was up there. She was thrilled with the event. And before that event, I guess on Friday, I think I'd mentioned last meeting, she had purchased one of those Franklin County stainless steel kites and had it painted. And so we, staff, I should say, installed it at the entrance there. So next time you go by there, if you haven't been by there lately, you'll see to the right of the entry sign, the park sign, is this kite up on a cedar post that Gavin helped produce. And it matches the signposts, and it's up on real high where no one can grab it unless they climb the post. And it looks
It
real nice, and she really thought a lot of it, I know. So
But it was a really good event, and I really think that we need, again, to say thank you to you and the park staff and all the people that helped put it together and organize it. The mayor was there. It really, if you've not been back there, you need to do it. Because I have to say, I hadn't been back there, and it is just beautiful. It really is. It's well worth the community knowing about and going down there to walk, and it was a really very good day. And the sun did come out.
Yep.
And
yes, it did.
It was very nice.
Yes, staff, they put a lot of time
They did.
over the previous few weeks. Like there was signage other than the kite. There was signage that was installed that I'd posted on Facebook a few weeks prior. They put some gravel down, cleaned up the trails, things like that. And then one of the other what I consider big things that came out of the event was the city hired a new mapping guy just last week or 2 weeks ago. And when we last had our Miller Post advisory committee meeting, Jackie mentioned she was concerned or mentioned that there's no map of the property and the trails and things like that. And then when I had posted the Facebook posting of the new signs that were installed up there, someone else also asked, a citizen or someone from the public had asked, is there a map of the park and the trails? And I was like, no, we're working on our website, blah, blah, blah. And so the new mapping guy for the city developed a real nice map of Miller Post and the trails and all the landmarks up there, the cabin, the lake, things like that. And it's on the city website if you go to the Miller Post Park, the map is on there. And so people can go now, they can pull it up on their phone if they're walking, go pull up that map, have it with them. And then we'll figure out in the near future a way to have the map like at the entry way there, whether it's mounted on the backside of the sign or if we put in a different kiosk or something like that too. So
Very, very nice. Well, it was a lot of work, and it was very well done.
Well done.
Very well done.
thanks. Soccer fees is next on old business. And so where we are on this is it's kind of in the hands of the soccer organization right now. I recapped, we had a meeting April 22nd with the Fees and Charges Committee, and it was a meeting from our initial meeting with the soccer committee. And what came out of that meeting is the committee suggested a reduction in practice fees. So it would be $15 per practice, and that's without lights, and then $20 for practices under the lights. And that's down. The committee reduced the fees from 25 and 40, which is basically the price of if they were having games up there, they were going to be charged the same price for practices as games. So the committee came up with a practice fee, so 15 and 20. They stuck with their initial suggestions for games of the 25 and 40, like I just mentioned. And then one of the things the soccer organization was concerned about was marking the fields for practices. The recommendation from the committee is that the Parks Department will keep doing what we've been doing. So we'll mark the fields during the season, which is September through mid-November. And then anything after that, so any of the practices they have over the winter or early spring that they would be in charge of marking. And then I also threw out some alternate locations for practices to help reduce some of the wear and tear on the Lakeview fields. Ideally, we would like to take one of those fields out of commission for a year. So in the fall, we would take, say, field number 1 out, let it rest, push all those practices and games out to different fields, like maybe the Midway field, even the old rugby field, even maybe the outfield, depending on age groups and size and ages of kids, maybe the outfield of McLaughlin, stuff like that. So I proposed that, and then the other thing I proposed, I kind of threw out there, was a lot of the other organizations around town help with maintenance on the fields, whether it's seed, fertilizer, doing small projects that benefit their sport. And so I kind of threw that out to the soccer organization to see if they would be willing to commit to anything there. And I sent the email with all this information in it, but I have not heard back from Sarah, the president, yet. So we're willing to meet again if needed, but I haven't heard anything yet. So. And
Wayne, are you confident that the practice fee covers the cost of electricity with the lights, if they use the lights?
Yes, it's, most practices, they said they do have some practices that would be an hour and a half, but most of them are around an hour. And so it's $15 an hour. So if they had lights, it's 20, so we'd be okay there. Next on old business, quick update on park benches and tree memorials, the subcommittee. We met, and it might have been 2 weeks ago now. The committee is Gavin, Woolley, Dave Waymeyer, John Steffens, and Sparky. And we met and we had a good meeting. Had a bunch of information for them of what other places do, with some things to think about. I asked them to go out and look what we have in our park system, and then two, when you're out at other places, other parks, look what they have. Go on some of these websites, look for pricing, look for different ideas, and so I think the committee's happy. They seemed very energetic, liked what they were doing. They didn't seem like they were, got stuck on another committee. One thing that they seem to like, or at least the idea is floating around, is besides benches and trees, maybe we have, and there was another organization that does this, or maybe a couple organizations that does this, have other things besides benches and trees, such as picnic tables or trash cans or bike racks, things like that people could donate and put a plaque on. So we're looking into some things and pricing and things like that, and we have to meet again. Probably won't meet again until Sparky's back from vacation, which is like mid-May, I think, so.
Okay.
And finally, dog park. We have progress going on over there. We have measured out a small dog area based on where the group put their markings. And Chad's gotten some pricing on fencing. We also got some pricing on a sign, like an entry sign, park entry sign for over there, which we do not have. So things are moving along there slowly but surely. We need to meet with the dog park group and kind of lay out what we have, the pricing that we have for fencing and the signage and everything like that. So that should be coming up in the next few weeks, I think. So I think that's all I have for old business.
Yep, now we move to new business.
New business, disc golf update. The guys have been over there the last few weeks when it's not raining, installing holes. And Sean met us over there, Sean, with the Lions, I believe. And they mapped out some fairways and things like that. We have a number, like I said, a number of the holes, almost all of them poured. We might be 4 or 5 short. But things are moving along over there. Sean seemed happy with the progress so far. But we do have a ways to go, quite a ways to go yet, but things are slowly but surely moving along over there. Sculpture placement. So you all received the slides or the pictures of the sculptures and the potential placement. In your packet there. So I'll pull them up here real quick. And so the idea is to get some of these out from the basement of the Missourian and get them out to the public. We have them. They've been in storage for a number of years. And so really it's 3 sculptures, like pieces like what you see on the screen there. And then 2 at the end, you'll see 2 wall pieces. And so I have it listed out here, what the piece is, Colorado wind, and then where it would go, or potentially where it would go. And so that piece, which if you go back, just so no one's confused here, it is on this picture, it's this tall middle one. The tall middle one there in the middle of the picture, and then it would go behind the pool here in that bed. In that bed, it would be highly visible, but there's not a ton of people walking through there. I don't envision any kids hanging on it or anything like that. The Art Council did say they would provide the plaque that would go on it, which I believe most of them already have plaques on them. And then the clips to mount it to the concrete, stainless steel clips. And I think from the pictures, it looks like a number of those have the clips already on them too, because they've been out in the public somewhere already. And then the Art Council would provide the concrete bases too, which are basically leftover post office box concrete bases. Like there's one out here on the corner of City Hall here that will probably just move. And so the next one is the Missouri Fish, and then that would be in the bed of the passenger depot, which is the next picture here. Somewhere in there, probably in the middle. And again, that would be highly visible. Probably not a ton of people walking through that bed, hanging on it. Larry was interested, Mr. Pogue was interested in having that one down by the river since it is a fish-themed sculpture.
Yes.
It is.
It's all about how you envision it, right?
Yeah.
The next
Yeah, right, with
actual
that text,
sculpture
you're the
is
artist.
Chariots of Fire, and so that would, the recommendation was to put it just out here in the bed, closest to Jefferson out here, or, yeah, Jefferson out here. Is that Jefferson?
You're right.
Yeah,
You're good.
Jefferson. In there, and we measured them all out. We have the dimensions of all these, and it should fit in there just fine. That one actually has electricity. It doesn't have to be plugged in, but if we found a way to plug it in, we could. And then finally, if I can get then we have the two wall pieces. Now, it's my understanding, and I found the paperwork on this, is that my predecessor had brought this to Park Board before, I believe in 2017, but Chad had showed me, I think, where they were, at that time, where they were supposed to go, which was on the brick wall down there at the farmer's market, like between the lower lot and the upper lot, or between the lower lot and the farmer's market. The only problem is, I noticed right away, because the day we looked at it when Chad was showing me, there was a truck parked there. And if there's any cars or trucks parked there, you wouldn't be able to see them on the wall. And so when we were driving around that day, I saw this big, huge concrete wall that I thought was connected to the farmer's market. And so that's the other one there. And I asked around, and it is the backside of the farmer's market there. So it could go on this wall here. Two of them could go on this wall here. My picture's not that great because it's pretty far away, but those would be visible from the street there, Cedar Street, plus they'd be visible if you're walking down on Front Street. You'd be able to see them on that wall from Front Street too, from the sidewalk there. It just dresses up that kind of drab gray wall, and they would be mounted up high enough shouldn't have to worry about anyone taking them. Or
Didn't the art council, didn't she say something about painting that wall?
we did, but they've kind of shied away from it, and I don't know how I feel about it either. Their reasoning for painting it was really aesthetics, to kind of give those paintings a backdrop. But then once you paint it, then you have to maintain it. And just painting it itself could be quite a challenge, because it's a pretty big wall. I think you would need some kind of scaffolding. And the Arts Council was initially talking about painting it
Maybe they'll just power wash it.
and spraying it and all. Rebecca started having second thoughts about it, and I started having second thoughts about it too, and the upkeep of it, and overspray, and I don't know. I just had bad envisions of someone falling off scaffolding while they were painting it or something. I mean, I guess it could be contracted out or whatever too, but
Well, power washing wouldn't be so bad.
yeah.
It would clean it up a little bit, and then
Yeah.
that wouldn't be we could get, maybe,
Yeah, that could probably be done
yeah. if
pretty
it was-
quick and fairly simple too.
Power washing, I think, would help it. And then they're just going to hang, or they bolt it into the concrete?
Yes, that's what I envision, is that they'd be some kind of bolt, something pretty secure so they don't fly off there when it gets windy.
Right,
City's
right.
got enough bucket trucks, we can.
Oh, yeah.
Should be able to, yeah.
Okay. And then that's all for now, right?
Yes, that would be it for now. I kind of let the Art Council take over again, look at some other places. There are a few other places that I saw around town, but like I said, we just wanted to get a few out, and so we can kind of think about it for the future. But I'd like the main goal for me was to have some of these out before American in Bloom, so we can kind of show them off there and plant some flowers around them and things like that. So
Okay.
Once we, if these are installed, how long is there a time frame, perpetuity, or, is a rotating basis as far as artwork is concerned?
I hadn't had that question before. I figured we'd get them out, and then if we have someone come to us with more, other pieces, we can rotate them out. We can move one. They would be very movable if we need to move them. They're just on these concrete bases, so we could take one out if someone if we needed to. So yeah, we can definitely consider that.
Any other questions about this? Okay. Do we have to vote?
Are we voting?
No, we already did.
No, we already did.
We did,
We
okay.
voted at the last meeting that we
already-
talked about it, then at the last meeting she came,
Yes.
and so we don't need to vote on it. Now it's a matter of where they just go.
Okay. Well, that's what I wanted. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page as far as where they might be placed. So
Well, and
That's where we talked.
huh?
That's where we talked.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is fine for now, and my only recommendation, like you said, is that we wait for any more to be put up, and because maybe there'll be other pieces of art from various other artists or whatever, and we go from there.
Sure. Okay. Sounds good. Just an update on then next on the list, C, amphitheater fence bid. We had two bids. The lowest bid came in. The base bid was $99,400, so $99,400, and that's for the fence, the perimeter fence around the whole or around the amphitheater there. And then one of the alternates was the temporary fence that we talked about, like the construction panels. And that bid for that alternate came in at $5,600. So the total package for the perimeter fence and the temporary fence would be $105,000. And so we'll have to do a budget amendment because the budget was $100,000. So we'll do a budget amendment so we can get those temporary fencing, construction panel fencing, and then we'll have those on site then. The Parks Department will own those, or the city will own those. And then as we have these big rental groups that want to use the stage, we'll have that on our list. Instead of going through a fencing company and having the costly expense of someone coming out and installing these, we can drop them off there on site or have them on site there somewhere. And then the organizers of the event can just lay them out. They're pretty easy to move, and they just clip together with these posts, almost like Lego blocks, and you just build a fence across there. But they will be rentable. And then in the off season, when we're not having concerts and things like that, we can use them for other things too. So
Wayne, what'd you say the price of that temporary fence was?
the construction panels were $5,600.
Wait a minute, that 3,600, where did that come from?
The minutes from last
Yeah,
meeting.
from the.
Well, we hadn't received the bids yet, so I don't know.
That was a guess.
That was,
Yeah, I think that was a
Okay.
guess,
All
yeah.
right.
So, but overall, I think we're getting a pretty good fence, and it would be a nice looking fence. One of the alternates was to have chain link again, that ran along Grand Avenue, and the pricing of the fence came in such where we can have the nice aluminum fencing along Grand Avenue and not have the chain link and still be within budget here. So that's good.
And do you have any idea when it'll be up? Start?
It'll go to council, this recommendation, will go to council on May 6th. And then, as long as they approve, I was told it'll be up before the fair, so.
Okay.
Who is the low bidder?
Oh, a low bidder was Washington Fence Company. Sorry, forgot to mention that.
Who was the other bidder?
The other bidder was Diamond Fence Company out of Potosi, Missouri. So their bid was quite a bit higher. Any other questions on fence? No? Okay. And then last but not least is the lunch stand roof bid. And so we had a roofing bid package go out for that, and that bid came in at $30,000 to replace the lunch stand roof. And so that will go to council on May 6th also. So, and that insurance money from the storms that we've had over the last, I guess it was in 2017, we've had enough of the insurance money that we're able to do that roof too. And I know it needs some painting and some help, so we'll go ahead and replace that too with some of that storm money.
Okay. Any questions about lunch stand? It's going to be a quick meeting.
Not about the lunch stand.
Okay, so now I'm going to say any other business that's not been discussed that anybody'd like to bring up.
I would, please.
Go right
I
ahead.
was approached by a citizen who asked if there's anything we can do about the trees that are on the, basically above the intersection of West Main and Teeman on the lower, kind of the, beyond the Runsick ball field. The bank of trees
Okay.
from Runsick Field down to West Main and Teeman. There are a lot of trees on there leaning heavily. Twice already this spring, trees have blown over and taken power lines with them.
On the backside of the field there?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll take a look at that. And yeah, you're right. I know we did have a couple trees blow down.
I don't know if that's something, the city is, wants to look at, or if the park, if that's a park department, problem, but, it is, it's been an ongoing problem for years. I was forbidden as a kid to walk down there during storms
So how many times you go down there, Gavin?
every day.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Well, I would think too, Josh, being the arborist could go and, they can check it out.
Yeah, we'll check it out, yeah.
But I would like to say that corner looks lovely, right there at Teeman and West Main and.
It does
Front.
look
That-
nice.
It looks really pretty,
Oh, good.
so,
Thank you.
very well.
Thank you.
Okay, any other business anybody would like to bring up? Go right ahead,
Well,
Kevin.
Now that they do have the road finished from Stonecrest over there by Phoenix Park, is there any plans or anything to increase the pedestrian use of that park? I know there's been a lot of talk, almost everybody I talked to, why don't we put a playground or something out there now, especially a lot of people can get access to it and walk to it. Is that a possibility of
That's
that?
in the half-cent sales tax, isn't it?
I don't know.
I know it's not this year. I'll have to go.
But in the next 8 years, in the half-cent sales tax, I'm pretty sure there's a significant playground.
Okay, good.
I know,
Money.
I think we talked, did we talk about it last meeting maybe? Or someone mentioned it, I think, last meeting. I'll have to, let me check into that and I
Yeah,
can give you
let
guys
us
an
know. I
update.
don't, I don't remember.
Oh, I know. Someone mentioned, I guess, last meeting or a couple meetings ago about, something about taking the playground from Main Park over to Phoenix. and
over
that
there.
was, I know we nixed that was nixed because the playground was in too bad a shape or whatever. But yeah, I'll check on this new one and see if there's anything in
I'm
there.
pretty sure there was money in the half-cent sales tax. And that's a decision by the council.
Right.
What goes first?
I'll have to-
Yeah.
Right, but if they know something's coming, it would be nice. Or if not, we start
Plan on it.
yeah, we start working on, we do want something there.
Yeah, we
Okay.
had, actually, speaking of Phoenix, we had some vandalism over there a couple weeks ago now, or last week. I don't know if it was in both restrooms, for sure in the men's, I don't know if it was necessarily spray paint, but maybe marker or something all over the wall, some bad bad words, and they kicked the soap dispenser off the wall. And so the guy spent the morning one, erasing all the stuff off the walls, and then two, repainting the whole bathroom. I can't remember if it was both bathrooms, but for sure the men's. So, I don't know, that park, it's a very neat park, but, and I know a lot of people use it, but I know there's a lot of times when there's not a lot of people around, and it seems like bad things,
It's dark back there at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's out of the way, off the beaten path, kind of. So hopefully those people in the new subdivision start coming over and maybe get some of the,
Well, you can't keep putting stuff up if it's all gonna get damaged.
yeah.
You know, people are gonna have to start stepping up. Okay, any other new business that's not been discussed? Okay, then we have no need for an executive session, so our next meeting is scheduled for June 5th. With that said, can I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
I will motion to adjourn.
A second.
All right, we have a motion by Gavin and a second by Betty. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Gavin, you can turn your